Shall we start?
Yes, we are live.
Selamünaleyküm, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on time zones. So it's our pleasure and it's our pondering state, let's say, to have the fourth part of this angelic discussion. So we keep on the fourth part with respect to understanding angels ontologically and understanding their creation, their role, and especially what angels mean to us with respect to our creed, belief in general. So today we have Colin Hocam from UK, Baykar Abi from Connecticut, and I will be moderating this session. This time we are getting into a new treatise by Said Nursi, 24th word. The reason is, this part of the 24th word is also about angels. But I believe the first three parts from 29th word by Said Nursi was very ontological in the sense that we try to understand life, and with understanding life, the necessity of existence of angels, because we see life everywhere, and in this world particularly we observe life in varieties, in micro worlds especially. So when we look at the macro worlds, such as outer space, it is more convenient to have living beings over there. And also we had summarized, all this life is serving the purpose of consciousness. So we see any attempt that we are doing, any particles without consciousness is pretending at the end of their life cycle to end up with some way of consciousness. Like the particles that we eat by foods, become part of us, serving our consciousness. So the essence of life serving consciousness. So we said macro worlds also should have consciousness or representative of consciousness, which brought us to the existence of angels. So we elaborated in detail these aspects. Now we are coming to a more detailed point, I would say, with 24th word, which is relating angels with respect to Esmaül Hüsna. So 24th word, it's a very I would say masterpiece of Said Nursi with respect to telling us how to understand Esmaül Hüsna, the names of Allah. Actually, this word starts with Lehül Esmaül Hüsna from Suratul Taha. The first branch is really talking about the names of Allah, to understand them in general. The second branch is talking about why schools of thoughts are different. Why are people perceiving differently? So it's kind of understanding why differentiation happens, relating it to reflections of the names of Allah. So in a way, every person, every living being with consciousness is understanding the reality in different ways, because ontologically, reflections of the names of Allah is at a different scale for everyone. So with this amazing analysis, the next branch, he talks about how to understand the hadiths, the sayings of the Prophet. It is also very related, since Esmaül Hüsna is best represented with prophets, right? They are the guide for us, master. So the next one is this one, the fourth branch, where he this time discusses the creation of this universe, particularly this world, and different creatures being employed in the creation. And I think from the context, it is clear that also this varieties, species form because of reflecting Esmaül Hüsna, reflecting beautiful names of Allah, God. So I'm sorry to just keeping it longer, but I just wanted to relate everything to each other. Now we can start from the fourth branch to understand why different species, especially the angels, are created, employed in the construction of this world. The sustainer of all worlds, who is the all-glorious Lord of the heavens and the earth, and the all-beauteous builder of this world and the hereafter, employs both angels and animals and inanimate beings and plants and human beings in the palace of this world, in this realm of causality. He employs them not out of need, for the creator of everything is he, but for certain instances of wisdom, like the functioning of his might, sublimity, and lordship. He causes them to worship and has charged these four categories with different duties of worship. The first category is the angels, who are represented in the comparison by the slaves. For the angels, there is no endeavor and progress. They all have their fixed station and determined rank and receive a particular pleasure from the work itself and an emanation from their worship. That is to say, the reward of these servants is found within their duties. Just as man is nourished by air, water, light, and food, and receives pleasure from them, so are the angels nourished by the varieties of remembrance, glorification, praise, worship, knowledge, and love of God, and take pleasure in them. For since they are created out of light, light is sufficient for their sustenance. Fragrance scents, even which are close to light, are a sort of nourishment for them, which they enjoy. Indeed, good spirits take pleasure in sweet smells. I think I'm going to stop here to elaborate and understand more these passages. Let me start with Colin Hocam. Colin Hocam, what to understand from these passages? How do you pursue?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The world is described in this text as a palace where certain kinds of workers are employed. And I think we have to understand that the work is, of course, nothing less than making manifest the names of the Creator so that the Creator can reveal himself, communicate himself to us. We know, after all, that he is the hidden treasure, and the palace is where copies of those treasures, manifestations and reflections of those perfections can be found. So it says in the text, of course, that the Creator doesn't need workers. I think we need to stress on this, that in the context of angels, it is we who are in need of angels, not the Creator. And I think last time we gave the example of the sun. The sun faces us directly, and its light and heat are even, you could say, closer to us than our own skin. But we can't look at the sun directly. If we did, the light of the sun would blind us. We can look at the sun only through some kind of filter. So is it the sun who needs the filter, or is it us? Clearly, it's us. The sun can look at us directly, but we can't look directly at the sun. So we are the ones who are in need of the filter, not the sun. So we are in need of the angels. The angels make up the first category of divine workers or servants. I think slaves in the text. I'm not that keen on the term slaves. Angels are not on trial, so they're not given free will. So there's no striving for them, Ustad says, and no progress. There are various ranks of angels with various different stations, different functions, different jobs. And as the text says, the angels derive pleasure from their work. And I think that makes it clear to me that the angels possess awareness. They're aware of what they're doing and they derive pleasure from it. And I think a good analogy is that of a newly born baby that derives pleasure from being close to its mother and drinking its mother's milk. Now, the baby is fully aware, even though it doesn't have any self-awareness. So it's aware, but it's not aware that it's aware. And I suggest that as far as awareness is concerned, angels and newly born babies are the same. They are aware, but they are not self-aware. They're not aware that they're aware. And I think the point of convergence between babies and angels may be why angels are often depicted as little babies with wings. And we've looked at that before. Who knows?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So angels are nourished by, it says in the text, by the pleasure that they get from their own functions, which are the different kinds of praise and glorification that they express. I'll stop there. I've got more to say on that, but I think I've said enough for the time being.
Thank you, Colin Hocam. Baykar abi, what do you want to say on this?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. This is a very interesting step that we are taking now. As you mentioned in the beginning, last week we talked about the life being gist of the existence, because if it wasn't for life, we wouldn't be able to make sense out of this existence, and life is the most shining mirror to the source of life and source of existence. So it's everywhere, it's created abundantly. Now we're taking a step into what source of life is kind of manifesting the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he talked about these different living beings, animals, plants, and humans, and angels. So they all have different tasks, different ways of manifesting different attributes and names of Allah, and these are all exist in the realm of causality. So Colin Hocam put it very nicely. There is this veil that's between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and us, but there are also means to get there. So if you don't have this huge, magnificent universe, when we say Allah is all powerful, it's really hard to make sense. But when we see that from stars to particles, all is under His command, now it makes sense. So we have more to explore in life, of course, and this particular living beings that we call angels is kind of the soul, the spirit of this existence, and they're everywhere, and they have this notion of having being rewarded by just serving to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he's gonna say that it's not possible to understand it fully if you are not an angel, but I guess as human beings we can try our best, because we have an animal side, we also have this angelic side in us, and in many senses we, when we do certain actions, when we act in certain ways, we kind of feel that in ourselves how the angels kind of is rewarded or enjoy being just as a pure, sincere servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I guess for now I'm gonna stop there.
Great. Let me just insert a question here. This part starts in reference to Surah Al-Hajj, ayah 18, which mentions shortly everything prostrates to Allah. So every creature, every inanimate or animate creature prostrates to Allah, meaning everything worships to Allah. So Colin Hocam, can you discuss a little bit how everything worships Allah, and what is the necessity of angels in this worship duty? We understand all Human beings, all creatures, are just mentioned to be worshipping Allah. So what does it mean by this verse, and how we relate this worshipping activity to existence of angels? Maybe we discussed this partly in previous sessions, but I think it's a good point here to also remember this duty of worship, because here the palace created in this example is really creation of the worlds, and every creature is employed in the building of this one. So how can we understand deeper this creation and the worship main duty of all of us and all created beings?
Am I muted still?
No, we hear you very
okay. Well. Sorry. We said that angels are nourished by the pleasure that they get from their own function, and their function is basically the function of worship. There are traditions which talk about angels. Some of them are in the state of prostration. Some of them are in a state of bowing, of genuflection of the different positions of the prayer, which means that they are all engaged in worship. And their praise and glorification is expressed through their representing the divine names in this world. And I think, as we've said before, each angel manifests one or two names only. They carry those names from their original form in the unseen realm, and they translate them. We use the word translate into created forms that we see before us. So I give an example, and again, it's the same boring example of the cherry tree.
Beautiful example.
For me, I love the example of the cherry tree. For example, they carry names such as provider, sustainer, generous, compassionate, and wise. And in various measures and various proportions, they translate those names into a cherry tree. The cherry tree I can see from my kitchen window. So the cherry tree is a collection of different names and different combinations of names, which have been presented to us by the angels in the form of a tree with roots and branches and leaves and blossoms and fruits. And all of those different parts are, in actual fact, different combinations of names in different proportions. And they're brought into this visible created world by these creatures known as angels, whose original creation is from light or energy. So the cherry tree is basically a vast collection of angels doing what they have been commanded to do, which is to present the names of Allah in a particular form and to worship him by declaring that those names belong to him and not the cherry tree. So the angels translate the names from the unseen form into a form that's visible, but they also glorify their creator through those names. And that means manifesting them perfectly. So the verse, I think, means that all things bow down to Allah, all things manifest his names as they were commanded to do.
Thank you, Colin Hocam. Yeah, very nice. I don't know if we mentioned about the free will of angels. There's a comment from audience, Brother Said. I think angels are also have free will, freedom of choice. It's stated in the next, as they are doing their job with their cüz-i irade. Right, angels have free will, but of course, maybe it's gonna be more details, but we don't see the free will in how to say, it's the quality is not as the quality of the free will given to human beings. Maybe
I think sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think here the point is, yeah, angels are doing whatever they are commanded to do, but yeah, they are willing also to do it. So they're not like blind. This is why actually I think in this treatise, in this palace example, one of the servants doesn't have free will. These are plants and inanimate beings in the example, but angels are different category. They do have free will.
I think you hit the nail on the head there momentarily when you said that they are doing the things willingly, but they can't not do it. That doesn't mean that they don't have free will. You know, when I said that they have self-awareness, that is a kind of freedom. because they're aware of what's happening and they like it. And then that means they do it willingly. You don't have to have free will in the human sense in order to do things willingly, if that makes sense. It sounds contradictory.
No, that's nice. I think it's just time to discuss this. Even I had searched for it. Melaike doesn't have akıl, for instance. Akıl, intellect, is different than consciousness.
Yes. Yes.
So akıl is given to someone who will be responsible in this world, accept the examination, and will be part of the examination. So angels are not part of the examination for themselves because they don't have akıl. And
yes.
nefs also, they don't have nefs. So these are different faculties given to human beings, not to angels.
Yeah, if we say that angels have free will, and if we don't qualify that, then it can be, it can be misleading, because free will can lead one to disobey as well. And angels don't disobey. They can't really disobey.
Right. Maybe we can say it is very constrained, one-sided free will.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think that's right.
Okay. Baykar Abi, do you want to add? Yes.
So they have, maybe we can say they have no inclination for evil, but they willingly and lovingly doing this good. So one brother was discussing the difference between the irada and ikhtiyar. Juzi ikhtiyar and juzi irada is not the same. I'm not sure about the whole difference, the context. In the context, we know that, it's true for every single being that if Allah's kulli irada, the comprehensive will, is not there, with juzi irada, nothing is created. But when Ustad says juzi ikhtiyari, I guess, as you said, they are not as like robots. They are not just programmed and do whatever they do, but they do it willingly, lovingly, by conscience, being full aware of everything, what's going on, what's the purpose of the Creator. So they are kind of an addressee to the hikmah, the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the whole creation. So they have this full consciousness, but they have no inclination towards evil or to rebel against. They're all choosing the good. They have inclination towards good, the higher, all the time. So it's the type of ikhtiyar they have, as far as I know.
And also this is why they cannot progress, right? If they were subject to doing bad things or choosing bad things, it would be matter of progress. So their positions are fixed, as mentioned here in the text. So they are not subject to progress. They have the fixed station and determined rank,
Mm-hmm.
Can we go to the next passage? Baykar Abi, how do we understand the food of angels? Do we have different foods, really? How can we understand light being food for angels? Or fragrant scents being food to angels?
Yes. So again, is having this one side, angelic side, maybe we can, just contemplate from there. So Ustad talks about, for example, there are beings created from a nice smell, light. So when we enjoy certain things, it's kind of in our own realm, in our own world, there are new windows opened. So we kind of enter to this world with those different senses, and there's a whole different world is opened, added to our existence. So in that sense, there's something to sense there, there's something to appreciate, to ponder upon, to feel about, and there's something to explore in those different realms. And definitely angels have this different observations or consciousness. So and also about their existence, when the Ustad was proving their existence, he was comparing this dark lifeless earth dust, which is the source for the being of the human being, to light, electric, smells, sounds, different air. So those things which looks more luminous, more lively, water, for example, right? Those more lively, they're kind of more, so to speak, capable of being a source to different types of existence, different type of life. So definitely, as we are nourished by different substances in the world, different risk, sustenance, they are also sustained with different type of existence. So the fire, for example, the Ustad possesses heat, or the fire in the sun supports the light. It's not it will not destroy it, right? So we talk about the different beings, existence of them in the different planets and other comets and stars. That's what it just brought to my mind. I don't know, maybe Colin Hocam have more to say.
Thank you. Colin Hocam?
No, I think that Baikar put it very well. I can't really add to that. They are sustained by whatever it is that sustains them, and however that works. Angels are created from energy. So how is energy sustained? If we can actually sort of typify them as beings of energy, energetic beings in the literal sense of the word, I don't know how energy is sustained. The smell, it says fragrant sense. That's very interesting, because there isn't a divine name which pertains or connects to our sense of smell. And this might be a bit of a digression, but I was wondering whether anyone has an inkling of, why this could be. He says here that good spirits take pleasure in sweet smells, and fragrant scents are close to light. So, I mean, I don't know how the science of it works, but I know that there isn't a divine name, the one who is responsive to smell.
I feel like we need a very deep discussion on the notion of light, Nur. Light is not the light that we see,
No,
the light
absolutely.
that we see is somewhat energy, as you say. It's composed of material. It works like material, physical light.
Yeah.
But here it is very different. Like the knowledge we learn, it's a light. The compassion type of feelings that we have in our hearts, these are light. These are nur.
That's true. But physical optical light is this world's parallel of malakuti light, if that makes sense, because everything that's here is a parallel to something in the malakut realm. So while angels are not made out of light in the sense of energy, in that sense, the energy in the light that we see here is a representative of that light.
Maybe
right, makes sense.
Yeah, maybe looking under this, two major categorization, Jamali and Jalali Esma, names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it might help, because mashallah, you talked about smell, and then we talked about thoughts, right? So when we are describing those things, we always use beautiful, beautiful thinking, beautiful smell, beautiful, I don't know, many things that we enjoy. We just use that Jamal attribute in a way to just categorize them in general.
Yes.
So maybe we can put all of them under those names. I don't recall any.
And also
names
the name Nur, right?
The
name Nur, we already mentioned Nur, so the name Nur also is related, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, physical light, optical light is the only way we can understand light. I mean, this is this worldly simulacrum, if you wish, of light in the realm of Malakut. You know, we don't know what that light is like, and we can't access it, we can't perceive it or conceive of it. And so we are given an example of it, or an exemplar of it, and that exemplar is physical light or optical light, as we see. So whatever happens here to physical light, that is analogous to, we could say, spiritual light, as you said before, Harun. You know, spiritual light is different from optical light.
Definitely, we are sometimes limited to the physical world to describe things, but they're always hand in hand. For example, when we say somebody is enlightened mentally, we mean that, you know, he has more knowledge of something, he has more experience, he's more into it, but we just describe it, as you said, with the physical light.
Yes,
which,
yeah. This shows, you know, the ayat of Allah, really, because the physical light is a sign of spiritual light. And it's the same for all of the phenomena in the universe. You know, I've discovered this more and more recently in the Risale, you know, in Ustad Nursi's work. He mentions a lot of parallels and a lot of correspondences. And I didn't realize that he mentioned as many as he does, actually. So when we talk about created out of light, we have to bear in mind that there are two kinds of light. There is the light that we understand in the physical realm, the visible realm, the realm of the seen, and then there is light, which is the correspondence of physical light, which is an immaterial light or a spiritual light, which we can't access, but we can understand a little through its physical counterpart.
Wonderful, wonderful. So this, spiritual part of us, and especially Melaike, angels, I think we get closer to understanding how these angels, good spirits, take pleasure in sweet smells, for instance. Like we like learning, so learning or information is not something physical, but our intellect likes it. So if you give food to our intellect, physical food, it is not a food for our intellect. But if you give a word of wisdom, our intellect enlightens, so we are joyful. I mean, our intellect, if personalizing intellect, would be very happy to receive the food of information or contemplation. So this makes it very understandable for good spirits taking pleasure. I think partly we have part of human beings are also angelic. Maybe that's the fact.
Absolutely. I mean, we have the predisposition to be angelic.
Great. Shall we move a little bit? New passage. Furthermore, there is in the tasks that the angels perform at the command of the one whom they worship, in the work they accomplish for his sake, in the service they discharge in his name, in the supervision they execute through his favor, in the honor they gain through their connection with him, in the immaculateness they attain through studying his dominion in both its outer face and its face which looks to him, and in the ease they find through beholding the manifestations of his beauty and glory, such sublime bliss that the human mind cannot comprehend it, and one who is not an angel cannot perceive it. Colin Hocam, what does this passage say, really?
That's a huge question. The honor they gain through their connection with him, again, it's to do with the names, I think. Their function, it's a dual function. It's the function of glory. It's the function of translating names into a visible, tangible creation, but it's also the function of worship. So the tasks that they are performing, basically, this is what nourishes them, and this is what gives them bliss. we said before, what sustains them? It's the names themselves that sustain them. They have intimate connection with the names of Allah because they are bearing them. It's as though they're wearing them even. They bear them and they translate those names, and they must have this very intimate connection with the names. It's as though in having only one or two names which are accessible to them, it's as though they are actually almost directly witnessing those names. And you can imagine what ecstasy that would cause. You know, it's the ecstasy of a baby, you know, at its mother's breast, feeding. The baby and the mother are actually one for the baby. The baby doesn't realize that it's separate. So I'm imagining that for the angel who is perceiving God's names directly, or at least as unveiled as it could possibly be, because obviously they can't witness him absolutely directly, but the names are pretty much unveiled for the angels, and they are actually looking at those names directly, and they are meditating upon those names. They're contemplating the names directly, and this causes them ecstasy. It must do. I mean, that is obvious. We can't understand it because it's angelic, and it says one who is not an angel cannot perceive it. And we don't have memories of how we were at our mother's breast. But if you look at a baby who is suckling, then that pleasure looks absolutely amazing. The baby looks so content, so fulfilled, so
Right.
complete, that we can't imagine it. And we don't, you know, have memories that long. They don't stretch back that far. So only a baby can know that. Only a baby at the breast can know that. And only an angel can know what it means to contemplate the names of God directly, or at least as unveiled as possible.
Yeah, wonderful. Very subtle meanings here going on. Is it we are getting closer to understanding, again, the reflections of names of Allah by studying angels? Is it good to say?
Absolutely, you're right. I think that it is key. This is why angels are, I think, I would venture forth with this this suggestion that angels are next to Tawheed, next to divine unity in the list of principles of faith. If we understand angels, it means that when we look at the cherry tree, we don't see a cherry tree anymore, or we see through it. It becomes, in a sense, transparent. And what you see is groups and groups and groups of angels in different ranks with different functions, some acting as branches, some acting as leaves, some acting as roots, some as blossoms, some as fruits. And they are worshipping Allah by, they are bringing his names to us and showing us various permutations of his names. And they happen to be a cherry tree.
Wonderful permutations of names. Yeah, that's a very nice expression. Yes, and also for our lives, I mean, if I can perceive this happening, it gives me somewhat friendliness. It's good to know I'm with good people, right? It's good to know I'm with good spirits. And it's when I believe in angels further, I see more friendliness and more goodness in the nearby nature. The grass growing, the plant growing, the cherry tree flowering, flourishing. So I have the warmth, you know, I have the warm feeling whenever I get deeper in this, it seems like.
Yeah, and it doesn't just have to be living things either. You know, it's no different really in your, if you're sitting in your study looking at your bookcase, those books are also creation, you know, and they may appear to be inanimate, but they are creations which are mediated by angels. Makes no difference, you know. Even more importantly, because, you know, the books are standing there in the, I'm looking now at my bookcases. The books are standing there neat and upright, you know, and orderly, and they have a certain order and a certain equilibrium and a certain harmony. And that is because of the angelic presence. We think, oh, that things have to be animate before they can be angelic. Not at all.
Wonderful. Even in terms of this order, there is a hadith, saying of the Prophet, peace be upon him, like if the objects are scattered, bad spirits are around, the meaning of it. So it's from the backwards. So any organization or being tidy also is a condition for angels to be present.
Yeah, I mean, angels are present anyway, but maybe
Right.
it would deter more angels from gathering there, because there are angels doing different things. Remember, some are involved in the creation, the actual creation. I think we haven't mentioned this, have we? And I think we have to be
it's the next topic.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's just nearby.
Okay, then
if you don't have something to say, maybe it's a good time to switch to this one.
Yeah, you put us in such a difficult position, after Ustad says that the human mind cannot comprehend it and one who is not an angel cannot perceive it. But I agree, the following 2-3 slides will cover it. It will help us, I guess, to understand. I just want to share one sentence from the 29th word, which we didn't have time to complete. We were going through previous weeks. It's kind of, again, this angelic parts of us might help to understand it, because we partially feel it, but we also have this ana, we have nafs, so other things sometimes just suppress that side of us. Let me read the sentence. For being beyond sensual pleasure and some partial wage, so this is the contrary side of the angels to the human being, they consider sufficient the pleasure, perfection, delight, and bliss they experience through the all glorious maker's attention, command, favor, consideration, and name, through their perception of him, connection with him, and proximity to him. They labor with the purest sincerity their duties of worship, varying according to their different kinds and according to the varieties of the creatures in the universe. So when we say, I did this, I own this, I achieved this, there is a certain pleasure in this of ownership. Maybe we are, experiencing different manifestations of different names, but on the other side, when we really feel that the source of existence, the creator of the whole universe, used me as a tool, as a servant in this right path, in this good cause, in this right action, that's a whole different level of enjoyment, whole different level of fulfillment. Knowing that I am full of mistakes, I'm poor, I'm not sufficient for many things in this universe, but somebody who is all powerful, all knowing, all just, all merciful, all caring, is in charge, and he is also using me in this service. He helps me, he guides me. This is a whole different feeling, and this is kind of angels, as far as I could understand, the pure sustenance, this full sincerity, this full enjoyment in this sincerity is their whole sustenance.
Thank you for sharing your excitement and this nice passage. Okay, so I think it's good to read. So our last 10 minutes, we can just talk over this passage. One sort of the angels are worshippers, and the worship of another sort is in work. Of the angels of the earth, the sort that are workers have a kind of human occupation. If one may say so, one type are like shepherds and another like farmers. That is to say, the face of the earth is like a general farm, and an appointed angel supervises all the species of animals within it through the command of the all-glorious Creator and with his permission. For his sake and through his power and strength, and for each species of animal, there is a lesser angel who is appointed to act as a special shepherd. The face of the earth is also a place of cultivation. The plants are all sown in it. There is an angel charged with supervising them in the name of God Almighty and through his power. And there are angels who are lesser than him and who worship and glorify God by supervising particular species. The archangel Michael, peace be upon him, who is one of the bearers of the throne of sustenance, is the most important overseer of these. Yeah, I think this is a good place for us to start contemplating upon. Colin Hocam?
This is a wonderful passage, isn't it?
Yeah, amazing.
As the text says, there are several different things here. There are different levels and ranks of angels with higher and lower functions, you know, as necessity dictates. So there's a hierarchy of angels, just as there are hierarchy in the tree of life, you know. We have the plant kingdom, the lowest one, and then the animal kingdom, and then the human kingdom. So basically, all of these are overseen by angels, and the text mentions that the face of the earth is filled with worker angels, if you wish. Angels, through their manifestation of the names in different measures and different proportions, they're actually part of the creative process. Of course, God is the one who creates everything, and he creates directly. But, you know, just as we are in need of a filter when it comes to looking at the sun directly, we're also in need of worker angels when it comes to the matter of creation. And I often think of angels as the gloves which veil the divine hand, you know, the divine hand of power. Because gloves are needed by the recipients of the divine touch, you know, rather than by the divine hand of power itself. And also the text talks about angels in some way ordering the voluntary actions of the species. And I see this as talking about an indication of the apparent purposefulness that we see in plants and animals. Basically, this purposiveness is down to the angelic presence. That's what gives everything the you know, the look of purposiveness. You know, if plants and animals appear to be acting with wise purpose, it's because of the presence. So the worker angels are very much part of the creative process.
Yeah, especially these working angels, it's kind of less talked about, right? I think most of people are mostly familiar with worshiping angels. It's like angels are glorifying Allah, but the others, as you say, the workers, kind of, can we say any action that we see is guided by an angel?
Absolutely. I think you've got the nail on the head there. Any action that you see is being guided by an angel.
For instance, we see nice videos which shows the inner workings of our cells, one of the trillions of cells. And we see over there is another realm, and these micromolecules are working purposefully. RNAs, you know, just transmitting information, then these proteins being created, very micro scales, right? Nanoscales, let's say. So these are really acts and actions, and these are purposeful. We can say maybe there are as many angels as these micromolecules, right, that we see.
Absolutely. I mean, it extends to the whole causal network. You know, the network of cause and effect, which appears to be possessing knowledge and wisdom, that is down to the network of angels, who are manifesting the wisdom of the Creator in the form of all of these, as you say, wisely purposeful actions and functions. So you've hit the nail on the head.
And in relation to meaning, so these are very minute scale observations. Humanity even try to observe this, but we are short in this. So Allah's beauty does not let this go away without being observed. So there should be observer over there. Biker Abi, do you want to?
Yeah, I like the comparison very much. You know, sometimes you prefer unloading a full truck of goods to, you know, work over maybe 10 pages of paper. I don't know, you know, we can make other comparisons with the mental work to physical work. So the angels here as observants of this whole operation going on in the universe, you know, fully consciously observing it and pondering upon it, and, you know, presenting this to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and, you know, fulfilling this aim of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the whole universe. In that sense, it's a huge task. It's a big thing that should be there. As we talk in the beginning, you know, food is for a hungry one, and you know, an art, a beauty is shown to the exhibitors. It's not for nothing, you know, this whole thing going on in the universe that sometimes we miss, we fall short to observe, or, you know, to just ponder upon. Each one of them has workers in a way that's, you know, carefully recording all of them, you know, keeping all of them, or fulfilling the full mission by observing them consciously, and presenting it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a worship, as a this is a huge task, you know, comparing to any physical activity, this observation mission. So yeah, I like the comparison very much. Thank you for bringing it.
Thank you, mashallah. Yeah, the meanings are really beautiful. Our angelic side is, you know, craving for it in a way. What is can I ask at this point to both of you, what is the difference between being shepherd and farmer in this telling? Because, you know, it says the shepherd analogy, and there is this farmer analogy. Is there a difference?
I think there is a difference. There are two realms there, aren't there? There's the realm of plants, and then the realm of animals, and there's a hierarchy of being. So the plants are cultivated for the sake of animals and for the sake of humans, and then animals are cultivated for the sake of humans. So I just see it within the tree of being, the hierarchy that is the tree of being, the tree of life, is mirrored by the hierarchy of angelic presence, you know, with workers and overseers and higher angels, lesser angels. It all mirrors, they're all mirrors to each other, as far as I can see.
Wonderful. Based on what you are saying, yeah, Biker Abi, please.
Inshallah, we will have time to cover it, but I guess, you know, in the common texts, or the parts that we couldn't cover in the 29th, where there's some, you know, indications about this. For example, in the Quran, it's mentioned there's wahi given to the bee, right? So we call it ilham, right. Inspiration given to this animal. So I guess Ustad just puts it in the context that we can grasp, we can understand easier. So sometimes, you know, the farmer just seeds the plants and waits over, and, you know, maybe he needs to just involve from time to time, but it's mostly observation. But the shepherd is kind of guides the animals all the time. He should be on his task. So for example, these bees or any other animal, they look like they're just running after their food or certain pleasures, but when we look at the larger picture, they do great task in the whole harmony of the universe. whole ecosystem of the world, and they have no idea about it. And definitely they need this ilham, this inspiration all the time to fulfill their certain duties. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala maybe just appointed those shepherds, angels, to do that certain tasks. Of course, there are levels of it. He talked about this archangel that observes or covers all of them. That was my thought.
Okay, great. We had started a little bit late, so I take this opportunity to ask if volunteer contributors want to say something, or if we have any questions from anyone.
Assalamu alaikum. Can I share something very little?
Please.
The last question you asked related to it, I'd like to share something from the 29th word related to the almond tree. There's a sentence there. The sentence is this: is it at all possible that the all-wise and beauteous one, who is the all-glorious maker of the almond tree, would impose these many duties on an inanimate tree, and not mount on it an appointed angel appropriate to it to be like its spirit, to understand and express its meaning, proclaim it to the universe, and present it to the divine court? Here, there is a phrase, like its spirit, related to the plants. The same thing can it be said about animals, like its spirit, because the animals we know that have spirit. But here, related to the trees, the angel related to the angels, it is said that like its spirit.
Secret or spirit?
Spirit, sorry.
Right?
Spirit. Okay.
Soul, yeah, spirit.
Yes, soul. And I think you remember from the 17th word, the angels are using as something, the trees, like they enter in it. They enter in it.
Like vehicle, they just put on it. Use them like.
What about the animals, for example? Where perhaps can indicate the difference between them related to your question, perhaps. Like it's separate, yes.
Thank you. So the distinction of plants having not really a spirit in the perfect sense compared to animals. So angels over there can represent their spirit. Thank you. So any more questions? If not, Colin Hocam, can you finish today's session by a prayer for us?
I was just going to say something very, very quickly, and I will gladly finish with a prayer. That is, there is, I can't remember where it's either the 29th word or somewhere else, where Ustad Nursi talks about there are angels with 60,000 heads, and in each head there is 60,000 mouths, and in each mouth there are 60,000 tongues, and each tongue in 60,000 different ways is proclaiming the glory of God. If you look at the cherry tree, you will see that there are so many hundreds of thousands of different parts to that tree. So I think that, mentioning the angel with 60,000 heads is very appropriate in that sense. I just want to
mashallah, beautiful.
Anyway, alhamdulillah, we came to the end again of the angels session, which was wonderful. I'll be sorry to say goodbye to it if this is the final week.
We might surprise you.
Well, then we'll wait to be surprised. Anyway, thanks to everyone.
There may be a bonus session.
Inshallah. Okay. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Oh Lord, the only knowledge that we have is the knowledge that you have taught us, and you are the omniscient, the all-wise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.